Hello, everybody. Greetings and salutations.
Welcome, hello, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us.
Hey Doc, I've been reading all your papers. I've been listening to your words. You tell me where the walls once stood. You tell me how the ancients learned. You say you walked among the ruins. You say you heard what stones can say. But when a question doesn't fit, why does it get pushed away? Hey Doc, did curiosity get lost somewhere between the title and the chair? Did the wonder fade away beneath the weight of what's declared? Because the earth is full of stories and not all of them are known. Yet sometimes when new voices speak, you treat the mystery as closed. I don't ask you to believe them, I don't ask you to agree. I'm only asking why a question feels like such a threat to ye. Hey Doc, were you born with all the answers? Did certainty come with a degree? Or did you once stare at the night sky and wonder just like me? Because the people who change history were told they must be wrong until tomorrow proved the thing they known all along. The stones don't care for politics, the rivers don't care for names. The truth was here before us all and it'll be here when we change. So why not let the questions live? Why not let the evidence lead? Why fear the road less traveled if truth is all we see? Hey Doc, I still believe in science. I still believe in honest minds. I still believe that wisdom grows when certainty steps aside. And maybe one day we'll discover the answer's not about poses, but we'll never find tomorrow if we silence every guess. So here's my hand, not raised in anger. Here's my voice, not raised in blame. Just remember that the greatest minds were once the ones who questioned everything. If truth is truly what we seek, then let the evidence lead the way. And should it challenge what we know, have faith enough to let it sway.
Welcome, everybody. Man, you throw me every night. It's a new, let me shut the screen here. It's a new song, so, I think I'm going to get the drum down or something so I can air drum like in time, but no. I just get to make a fool of myself, but I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
I told you, I made a version for every single episode of this series. So
Yeah, I know, and I'm going to dance to them all until until we get you singing to one of them.
Yes.
I'm just going to keep ramping up the odd, sort of shamanic shaking, whatever the hell we want to call it, that this weirdness I was doing. I'm just going to keep amping it up until until we get you to exhibit that beautiful voice. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Shaman and the Philosopher, where tonight we are going to continue what we started last night with the reading of a book by my partner here, Ricardo Calvario, called Stardust. I greatly enjoyed reading it, so that's why we decided let's just keep this going and burn through it. We'll return to the DeSoto Chronicles maybe tomorrow. You never know. For those that are following along, this is not a end of that. It's just if we're going to be doing this reading and chatting thing, I needed to mix it up, and then we just Ricardo was like my book, and I was like, dude, perfect. So. And of course, those of you that were with us last night heard how perfect indeed it really is, and we're really enjoying
When
it.
is read by such a voice?
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. These words, that's the thing that gets it. I mean, guys, this is why we're like it's like the perfect little duo here. Because, I'm just sort of like, what's a gentle way to say this? A lot of times just sort of piss and vinegar, and just nah. And Ricardo, man, in that same instant, y'all won't believe me, in that same instant, he will fucking absorb all of that, but in his own mind spit out 2.5 or 3 paragraphs of shit so appropriate that George Washington himself would want to talk to the man. You know what I'm saying? Just that literary and that ornate, and it's really quite a trait there, boss. No matter what you think of my cigarette and years of whiskey infused voice over here, it doesn't quite
just
equate.
got me lost. Who are we talking about?
Well, I've got a thing for writers, right? Because you do point out that I've got the voice that was trained long ago, obviously, very long time ago. But we respected the word, and we respected Shakespeare, a lot. And I remember I had this teacher at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts there in downtown Manhattan, which for an Alabama boy was, quite odd environs to be in, right? Had a lot of fun there too, though. But I had this teacher, man, that told me, he said, we were talking about editing scripts, right? Like, what if we felt the need, or like a word was better, all this shit. And he says, let me tell you this. He says, all of you probably at some point in your life at 3 a.m. Now, this was before texts and all that, right? Like flip phones had just come out. This was back when the world was still real, right? And he said, all of you at some point have been up at 3 a.m. and you've poured out an emotion directed towards somebody, usually probably love and passion, right? But it's just that honesty. You've just got to get it out. So you write out that letter to them, and you pour everything, and your soul is on that page. He said, and then you fall asleep, and you wake up at like 8 or 9, and you look at it, and you go, what the fuck? And you tear it up, and you throw it away. He's like, okay, the writer doesn't tear it up and throw it away. He puts it out for the world, willingly. So that's what I have to say about you coming at me with a compliment before I'm going to botch reading your book. That's what I'm going to come back at you with, a fucking double-loaded Gatling gun of, this is how you're better. Character reveal. What's going on in the chat, man? The chat is popping.
Yeah, we even have people from Sweden.
Welcome, Sweden. What's up, Rue?
And Ro, the music is all done in the house. So lyrics and music, it's all done in
Rue,
the house.
I'm a bit over you always picking on my language, because I saw your joke about your wife today and your nether regions. You have no room to talk, bro. Thank you for joining us, Rue, and picking on me appropriately as always. What's going on, Sarah? J. Quills? I can't, man, I'm flipping all over the place. They need to fix this. Lundenberg,
Second screen.
Sweden, brilliant. Moss, good evening. Ricardo, and Script, man, I'm just going to start calling you Thoth, okay? I see Scribed, is it Scribed Jehuti? right? That's Thoth the Atlantean on X. If you guys want to look for a really cool account, especially around mythological or, ancient stories, good account. Welcome, everybody. That's everybody I can see in the chat. Thanks for joining us and participating. We're going to read Stardust. But first, if Ricardo allows, I will take, I guess, 5 minutes of our time. Or do you want to finish intro and everything before I take 5 minutes of our time?
No, you go ahead.
I'll be quick. Okay. Everybody in the chat, this is not really aimed at you, okay? People that are generally like us and where funds are very important to you, I'm going to tell you one thing at the start of this. You've never heard this guy, as long as you've been following him, ever ask you for money or, in fact, for anything for myself whatsoever. Likes, subscribes, nothing, right? Like, go search my history. You're not going to find it, okay? My preface is this. There are some very dear friends that are engaged in a very real battle in this world, just as we ourselves are in a less dramatic sense against gatekeepers of knowledge. They're involved in a real battle against real-world corruption that can be generally found in the court systems and particularly the family court systems of the entire United States. I would like to, on behalf of these two friends of mine, one is an exceptionally dear friend who I personally, now remember guys in the audience, I'm not talking to you, okay? So just enjoy what I'm about to say. It's not to you. It's to about one or two of you that I know are watching, and I know your pockets function slightly deeper than the rest of us. What I'm going to play for you are a few words by two individuals I know personally engaged in fighting real-world evil, engaged in trying to save people's children. I'd like to play that video now, if Ricardo's okay, where these people would tell you about what they're up to. And the reason I'm doing it for my friends that are listening, and I'm not, about to play somebody asking for money for you, is these people are important to me personally. They've helped me with things that I've been involved in personally, and that's all I care to say publicly, right? It's very near and dear to me. And it's very real world. These people are fighting a fight for children and for families, and they depend on donations literally to function, to eat, to have a hotel room, right? To drive and go to, she'll tell you in the video where they've been this week. And I'm engaged with this team daily. I know what's going on within this organization more than most people, and I'm completely confident that what you're about to see me show you is true, and how I'm speaking to you is from my heart, and I'm speaking on behalf of who's about to speak now. This is Justice Without Limits. They are an organization run by Jessica Saxton, and now also co-helmed, one could say, by my friend Janet. I'll let them speak for themselves.
Before you do that, let me just say that this is completely personal, and it's
I was trying to make that clear.
completely unrelated to the Institute. Right?
Yeah, we didn't know, at first when I asked Ricardo whose platform we were going to do this on, we didn't realize we'd be on the Institutes, because we do have our own page, The Shaman and the Philosopher. So yeah, disclosure, this is a personal request from a dude who is yet to make one in his career for people that are very important to him, for a cause that is very important to him. Thank you.
Before legal issues, I just want to say that this segment that you're about to watch is presented independently of the Institute for Natural Philosophy and does not represent an official position, statement, endorsement, or policy of the Institute. So the views, opinions, experience, interpretations, and recommendations expressed during this discussion belong solely to the individual participants. As such, any statements, claims, allegations, opinions, or conclusions expressed are made in their individual capacities and should not be attributed to the Institute for Natural Philosophy, its officers, directors, members, affiliates, or representatives. This said, this one went to meet the creator, and let's see what Jason has to us, and let's see how it can be favored by this exposition.
I think you should do the reading tonight. You'll get us through here in an hour.
It's because I'm the one that reads in the board meetings. So
I'm gonna let Jessica speak for herself, and we're gonna start reading your
go
book.
ahead.
Can you guys hear this?
Nope, we can't
Okay.
hear it.
Okay, well then that's a problem. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat, and for those of you that heard me speaking to you, I'm going to ask that you then follow this link, and we will get
But you
on
can click
with our reading.
the audio on
Where?
where you put share. You put share with audio.
I did, dude. I don't want to hold this up, but
No, no problem.
There is nowhere for audio. Share.
Turn the
Yes.
audio on.
Yes. Also share tab audio. Yes. Mm. Sorry, bro. So I'm just going to talk real quick, and you can. I'll tell you what she was saying. They traveled the country.
Look, sorry. You see
Yeah.
up there. You see where the volume is cut, is muted. The video. Just unmute the
No.
video.
Where, dude?
I see.
I've
When your
never
mouse
used
moves,
Facebook on a computer, so I need you to show me.
When your mouse
Into
Ah!
moves.
detail with evidence
Dear
of
Lord.
crimes.
Dude, I'm not known for my computer skills. This much is well known by my audience.
Thank you to everyone who's funding this fight, and that's what it is. It is a fight to keep our life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all of our rights and freedoms absolutely intact. I'm going to ask you for more money because we're dead in the water. But before I do that, please know that we only use Venmo, Chime, Zelle, and PayPal. What did we do with that? We drove thousands of miles. We met with dozens and dozens of families. We provided affidavits of criminal conspiracy to city council, county commissioners, as well as to the federal government. And we were able to go to United States Congressman Thomas Massey's office on behalf of the CARES Project, where we delivered a nearly 3,000-page document that goes into detail with evidence of crimes against our families and our children. Trafficking children, human trafficking, trafficking of other types, where the government just completely ignores it. That evidence was delivered to Massey this week. We have a family that's offered to do a $3,000 donation match campaign. So anything that you donate, they will match up to $3,000 total, not individually. That being said, the people that we're fighting have an endless amount of resources, time, money, all the things that makes it very easy for them to continue to commit crimes against our families and our children. We, on the other hand, are out here fighting that system on minimal resources. We hardly ever sleep. And we're doing it in a way that is legal and lawful.
So you'll see me at the end of the video, just barely. So this is here in my town. I know all of everyone you see here.
These people will one day, very soon, know that they weren't really fighting against us. They were actually fighting against God, and God doesn't lose.
They're actually fighting against God, and God doesn't lose. So, yeah, you see me there. So you now are verified by what I told you, that I know what's going on here personally, and am personally affected by this campaign, and I personally know who right now is holding that camera phone. And I'll just leave it at this, guys. I've yet to meet another human being that walks so intentionally and so deliberately with God, and organizes all those around her in that manner. Ricardo, thank you very much. Audience, thank you for indulging me and letting me take 5 minutes of our time to do something I never do, but this one's important to me, and I know these people are in the need to keep up this good fight. Thank you, guys.
Yep. And I'm gonna take your lead.
I know you've got a good one. I knew it. Yeah. Definitely.
As soon as I find it, just give me a second because I need to put this in.
Yeah, I'd already saw the
Extra
connection today, you know, when two of my people, my closest people, had something important happen in this way today, and Ricardo's going to share his. So that's how you know you're supposed to be sharing stuff, man, when it all lines up, you know.
The problem is I have so many videos on the folder of making that video That is how to find the
Hey, I
final
saw
video.
Sarah in the chat. She said she just told you to do a disclaimer. She said don't do a fancy one, just a casual one. See, my intro about Ricardo was accurate, y'all. Say a sentence. Got it. 2 paragraphs. You want me to get it? I know what you're going for.
Yeah, but the one on, I just wanted to put the
X?
one that the original, because,
Oh, I gotta drop that other link too. I am no
oh,
good
there
at
it
doing all
is.
this.
There it is. No, this is the
Copy.
project.
Bam.
Damn it.
And
How much cert cut? Here
bam.
it is. Here it is.
Bam. Yeah, this was the link if at all you wish to help out the organization I mentioned. The link is in the chat, and now Ricardo has his.
Okay, now let me get back to us. Share. And I'm only gonna show the first 1 minute. It's enough. It's on pin on my X page. So share. Where is share? Now it's me that doesn't know how to do it. Script, video, bars, mute video. Where is the share? I don't have share. Oh, there it is. Window. Of course, it's not here for me to share, right? Why would it? Why
If
would it
you or someone you know would like to be a digital producer for up and coming podcast, we have about 5 separate brands who would happily make use of your service.
Now let's try again. Share. This is so small letters that I can't. It's not here.
Come on, man. You can't be nervous when you can't find stuff. I just got that out of the way for us.
Okay. It has to be an entire screen. So let's go with entire screen.
Okay.
Share with audio. Oh, I'm not allowed to share. The share button is off. I'm not allowed to share.
Drop it in the chat, and I'll click on it.
Do you want me to drop a 10 gigabyte file on the share? Just
Okay.
Just share my post on X, because I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
allowed to share for some reason. I'm sorry. The share button is off. I kid you not. It's off. I cannot press
I
share.
believe you. I believe you. I totally believe you. There we go. Okay.
Just play until we get to the dancing circle, and that's it. People can watch
Certainly.
the rest of it.
As soon as I show you how much not more efficient than you I am at this, there we go. Maybe. Oh, look, it's tiny. That's helpful. Let's do, what would be more helpful? That. Let's drag it, but now I can still see you. Perfecto. How's that look on your end? Good?
Yeah. Just need to maximize the video now. And put it on the
Shaman
beginning.
picture for their enduring devotion.
Ricardo's
This film
work.
is dedicated to Fred and Jermaine Pigeon for their enduring devotion, sacrifices, and long years spent protecting Powers Bluff against silence, neglect, and time itself. Through hardship, perseverance, and the profound respect for the memory held within this sacred landscape, they stood as steadfast guardians of a place many had forgotten. Their work helped preserve not only earth and stone, but the voice of the land itself, ensuring that Powers Bluff would endure as living memory for generations yet to come. This film stands in gratitude for all they carried and all they refused to let be forgotten.
The birds were really loud, and I put them down on the editing of the video, but they are still extremely loud.
Well, you were there in person too, right?
This is actually my footage.
That's
This
that's you
section.
filming,
Yeah.
yes. That's what I was getting you, trying to get you to tell everybody.
You tricked me. Okay.
Exactly. I gotta trick you into admitting it.
This is one of the dancing circles. Okay, so now just go exactly to the last of part of the movie, if you can.
10,
Pause,
4.
Bonjour.
pause.
They find its way back home to us because
Yeah.
he was
Now
Pause.
go to the end so that people can see just the QR code, since we are showing QR codes today, and they also deserve our support. There it is. So if you just scan this code, you can help. These people have actually they are actually the responsible
Yes.
for this entire site still exists
Yes.
today. They fought for 30 years, putting a monkey wrench, as Germain, in Germain words, to every single project they had to tear this place down. And they still do their native meetings there. So,
Yes.
and they are on the verge of managing control over the park. And with this, thank you. Sorry for this.
No. So let's be clear that
Cyclers.
so then folks that would like to donate to this particular cause, that this has, even though this is Ricardo's film, okay, he's not going to tell you that, but I'm going to tell you that you need to go watch the film. It's out for you now to watch, okay, free.
It's not my film. I just.
Oh.
It's the work of
Director,
many people. It's the work of
Producer,
many
director,
people.
editor, filmographer.
No, I
In the
can't
biz,
even
we
assemble
call
it.
that your film. No matter if
Yeah.
Brad Pitt was in it or not, it still wasn't. It was your film.
Yeah, but
Oh my
it was
goodness.
possible thanks to the efforts of
That's
these
all we
people
got to
talking,
show
these
is you.
productions. Yeah.
That you're not at all asking for anything for you is where I was trying to go, and you just made it obvious.
No,
by
I
me
didn't
not
even.
letting
My
you-
name, the name of anybody that made this.
I know
happen
you didn't even put your
is
name on the
not
damn
there.
thing.
It's not
I know.
there.
I know, and the audience should know that, and that's all I'm saying. You don't have to tell the world, but I'm telling our people, okay? So let me tell them that this is Ricardo's work, okay? And when y'all are wondering, hey, where's Ricardo been or whatever, well, here you go, okay? But now what he's asking for now is the people that are featured in that film, right? These people that are on the ground protecting our history as well as theirs and fighting for it. If you'd like to help them, go here, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, we won't do that often, and as you see, it's never going to be about us. You know,
Ruiz, when we get to the book,
particularly.
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Shut up, Rue. We have never once done a request, an ad. Call this an ad. See, we don't get paid for anything, and we never ask for anything.
But there are good causes. There are good causes.
They're
so-
they're causes we believe in, and we are personally both can stand here and vouch for you on how they operate. You know, that's the only reason that you're even hearing this out of our mouths. Thank you, guys, and shut up, Rue. Love you, man. Let's read. All right.
Today is concerning science.
Besides, what was that? It was only like 20 minutes. Rue, you watch my show. You're used to me talking for an hour by myself, man. That was nothing, dude. Lay off. It's really cool to have an audience member you can fuck with. You know what I'm saying? I love Rue for that reason. I love him for many reasons. I've never seen anybody that supported us quite as readily. And I just opened. Your book's not opening. Riverside's opening. Here's your book. So what's so different about this one that I needed to open today?
Because I've been revising it, so I can make a new edition.
Oh! I'm glad I didn't take the time to read it
Because
today.
the people. No, I'm not changing any narrative, or I'm just correcting typos, spaces. There was a place where there was no space and the words are together, because I did it all by myself. So I wrote it, edited, put it in the format, and so I have no patience to read my own stuff, right? So this
Yeah.
is actually the first time I'm reading the book to edit it since I wrote it. Okay, so it's done. Put it on the side.
We left off with the introduction, so we finished the introduction. We're moving on to chapter 1. I need to hear myself. Concerning science. Rue, are you ready yet? Are you sure? You want me to, are you sure? You ready? Ricardo, how was your day? Concerning science. In general, we have a very passive, although positive and gullible attitude towards the scientific profession, perhaps not without reason. After all, we cannot ignore how successful science has been. Scientific inquiry has led to huge informative and technological successes. However, scientists can be found to profess an excessive confidence in those same accomplishments, being quick to think that in this or that area we are as advanced as we ever will be and no further inquiry is required. Entire careers are built upon these assumptions, and to challenge these taboos is to challenge those careers. It is, therefore, quite easy to understand how this embargo on inquisitive behavior, this embargo, I gotta scale this up, y'all excuse me, but I thought I could read it that small and I cannot. I'm sorry, okay. It is, therefore, quite easy to understand how this embargo on inquisitive thought contributes towards scientific stagnation. As such, this sort of behavior among the scientific community, a kind of auto-censure, produces unchallenged dogmas, out of what in fact are nothing but generally accepted theories, some of which are not even near of ever being proven right, others just because they fit in the canon narrative of the moment. Novelty, especially when it contradicts the accepted norm, especially when it contradicts the accepted norm, and more than often promptly rejected. Those that were brave enough to present it are often ridiculed and publicly shamed. Though it seems harsh and petty, it has happened many times in the past, and unfortunately, it will happen many more in the future. Science should be zealous. That's a daughter. Again, audience. Active life. On air. Text. Possible? You gotta ask, don't tell them. Not when they're teenage women. They're women now, man. 17, my goodness. Sorry, y'all. But I'll never not interrupt for a daughter in need. It is, therefore, okay, novelty, especially when it contradicts the accepted norm, and we did that. Science should be zealous of its accomplishments, yes, but not at the cost of shunning all that contradicts them. After all, science evolution cannot happen without a constant supply of new concepts and ideas. Velikovsky is a good example of this type of attitude. By looking into his particular case, we found ourselves in the middle of the 20th century. Isaac Newton's laws of gravity and motion, despite being 300 years old, are as strong as ever. They were, and still are, for most part, considered to be something that would never be challenged or contradicted. Then came Velikovsky, a psychoanalyst whose interest led to a thorough study of ancient civilizations and their descriptions and interpretations of ancient calamities. He then turned his attention to the universe of physics and astronomy. His conclusions were just as revolutionary as they were controversial. Because of this, his ideas were considered by the scientific community as rubbish. Nothing more than the ludicrous ravings of a crank that, according to his critics, were not even eligible for science fiction. Not even his close relationship with Albert Einstein was able to help him on this matter. However, and this is the crucial part of this sad story in the history of science, is that most scientists that rejected Velikovsky's ideas did so without having ever read his book or giving thought to his conclusions. They relied instead on very distorted accounts by his prominent critics, among them the renowned Carl Sagan. Velikovsky became persona non grata on college campuses. He was further denied the opportunity to publish articles in scientific journals. More, when he attempted to respond to critical articles in such journals, they rejected these responses. 16 years after the first edition of Velikovsky's Worlds in Collision, science developed new techniques that allowed to take some of the book's predictions to the test. When they were found to be right, there was no apology, no attempt to reinstate Velikovsky into the scientific community. This was what one of its major critics, Carl Sagan, had to say on these new discoveries. In Scientists Confront Velikovsky, 1977, scientist Carl Sagan wrote, "To the best of my knowledge, there is not a single astronomical prediction correctly made in Worlds in Collision with sufficient precision for it to be more than a vague, lucky guess. And there are, as I have tried to point out, a host of claims made which are demonstrably false. The existence of strong radio emission from Jupiter is sometimes pointed to as the most striking example of a correct prediction by Velikovsky, but all objects give off radio waves if they are at temperatures above absolute zero. The essential character of the Jovian radio emission is that it is non-thermal, polarized, intermittent radiation connected with the vast belts of charged particles which surround Jupiter, trapped by its strong magnetic field, are nowhere predicted by Velikovsky. Indeed, his prediction is clearly not linked in its essentials to the fundamental Velikovskyan thesis."
So basically what he's saying is,
That was not an
Velikovsky-
impression of Carl Sagan. That was just me. My general academic snootiness was all I was going with there.
so Velikovsky was saying, I'm looking at that thing in the wall that has the 3 holes, and I'm pretty sure that if I manage to create a plug that fits in there, I'm going to power a device, right? And when science actually made the device, the plug to put it there, and saw that they could actually power a device, they said it's not because they made the plug and that it works. It's because electricity is well known to go on cables. So they completely dismissed what he was saying, but all of a sudden it was obvious. So 16 years of saying that he was garbage, forbidding him to go anywhere, and when it finally comes out to be true, well, that is obvious because of this and that and that. It's obvious, so but it wasn't. So
That seems to be the standard, at least has been in every field, right? I mean, I forget the name. Who's the popular example? The French archaeologist, I think it was somebody in Canada, the Bluefish Caves, Jacques St. Marc's, right? He had discovered stuff below the Clovis layer, right? If I'm getting all this recalled correctly. And it was the same thing for 30 years for the man's whole career. All of a sudden, it's like verboten, can't come in here, making fun of you. You're like, shit. You know, stuff that would drive people to suicide, basically, you know, type group mob mentality towards that individual. And then he's proven right. What happens?
nothing.
Yeah, he's right. You know, he's 80 years old, and you know he had to spend the last 30 years shunned by all of you and called a crank, and you know nearly. It's just, man, why? That's my only question. I won't even get on a tirade, but like, why? There's so many better ways.
That's the experience we've been having here. How many people have we talked to that are massive in their fields,
Yeah.
Some of them at the very top. There's no one other above them in their fields, and yet who knows them? I didn't know them,
No.
and I actually active look for stuff. They don't appear anywhere. Why? Because their names are not brought forward. Right? We even talked to Lee Pennington, 113 countries or something like that, like 6 languages. It's one of the most awarded poets in America. Wrote for Broadway, wrote for cinema. Is a musician.
I know, he's unbelievable.
He was a professor in the
It
university.
sounds made up. That's how cool it is. It just sounds totally. That was my first remarks to you when we were doing that show, and you sent me his resume, and I was like, I mean, I called you, like, and you know, it was back in the days when we didn't call each other all the time, and I was like, bullshit.
How many people
No,
did you put
really?
in this resume?
Right?
Then you have Professor James P. Shears, who knows about his work. A thousand mounds surveyed.
Yes. And all of these people that are so invested. And you said tops. I mean, we talked to Dr. Lee Clare this week. At least he talked to me until I took his advice and did some history of research about what he was saying and proved that he wasn't telling the truth. And then he quit talking to me. Yeah, very different reception from very different tops of their fields. That's for sure.
So where were
To
we?
to echo your theme here about Velikovsky, it's you know, I mean, whatever. It's been my experience so far. That's all I can report, y'all. You know, is I've heard all the people tell me it's like this, and then I went and I sort of dipped my toe in, and yeah, okay, it's like this.
I can almost see Grima the one.
I was the kid with the fork in the toaster, going, really, okay, I got
That
it.
is a lie.
Right. Same thing. Well, I'm going to go in here and ask for proof. They're scientists. They'll have it. Oh, fuck, you're right. They don't. Ow. You know? Anyway, it's been a fun week of verifying, like, what's been hearsay for the most part for me until I've encountered it in person. Are we ready to keep going?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Carl Sagan has just got done saying that Velikovsky was a lucky guesser, and basically they would have figured it out anyway. Okay. My point resides in the shameful fact that this was not an isolated case. Who knows how many of these revolutionary ideas have been and keep being still quickly dismissed into oblivion, and what are, for us as a species, the dire consequences of this censorship. Fortunately, many areas of study are not affected by the above described hard-headed demeanor. Through scientific dedication, efforts, and sacrifices, our knowledge increases exponentially at each rotation of the planet. Science revealed to us what our eyes could not see. From the tiniest of particles to the furthest of celestial objects, they developed ways to take us into the deepest of ocean chasms, as well into the limits of our solar system and beyond. Even those not in the least interested in science do appreciate the results and benefit from scientific advances. How could they think otherwise when those same advances keep reminding us of those very same accomplishments? It has transformed every aspect of our lives, either by our passion for novelty gadgets or by our appreciation of modern medicine. Our journey into the world of science started well before it was so baptized. It began with the first and most ancient of our ancestors. Each time they questioned their environment, they were doing science. We must keep in mind that the method determines the obtainable results. Therefore, in their own turn, the methods are slaves to the available tools. With this in mind, it is no short feat that some of the oldest explanations theorized came so close to the results that we today, in all our modern might, have obtained. We came a long way from mysticism. when all we could do was not comprehend, could only be explained as the manifestation of some otherworldly power. Many of those riddles that for so long baffled the greatest of thinkers in our history are now scientifically explained in detail. What once was the product or will of some spiritual being is now described as a mathematical equation. What before received prayers and offerings is now coldly demystified in ink on a sheet of paper. In order to further discuss some of the present day tenets, a quick journey through some of the most relevant scientists and their discoveries must be done. Gravity, for instance, represented a problem that, although not yet fully understood, has indeed come a long way since. The renowned philosopher, the renowned,
Breathe, that's the key.
the renowned philosopher Aristotle recorded his view on the subject. He was by no means the first to look into it, but he is, to our knowledge, the earliest author to record a comprehensive attempt at a scientific explanation of this behavior, gravity. He concluded that objects move toward their natural place, their omphalos. Then, in their turn, all individual omphalos were attracted towards the center of the earth, which was, of course, the center of the universe in Aristotle's geocentric model. At the core of our planet lived the mother of all omphalos. It is easy to understand why the ancients thought it to be so. After all, without the necessary means to see otherwise, the earth did seem to be stationary, while everything else rotates around her. He, as many other before and after his time, also wrongly believed that objects fall at a speed that is proportional to their weight. This was dogma that prevailed unchallenged for some astounding 2,000 years. Ptolemy, as an Egyptian of Greek descent, who lived in Alexandria during the 2nd century A.D., he was a brilliant mathematician, geographer, and astronomer. His work in the areas produced many of the culminating achievements of the Greco-Roman world. Although he was not the first to study and write about the subject, he is better known for his texts were the ones that did survive into our age.
As we've been learning in the Unseen Wednesdays from Jacqueline. Yeah.
Jay Quillian in the chat, all pulp, no fiction.
She's showing who are these people that talked about these subjects before the individuals that we are discussing here in the book.
Correct. It is an excellent series. She did Chief Tuscaloosa but a few weeks back. You and I talked about that, and I did a little bit on my show about it. Aristotle. All others that dwelt on this problem were not so lucky, and their observations and conclusions did not survive the ages. Ptolemy, however, was humble enough to give them some credit, and he did cite some of those that he knew to have worked in the areas he himself was researching. In mathematics, he developed new methods that he then applied to astronomical problems. A good example of his genius is the table of chords. That is a table of values of the sine function. This function demonstrates that in a right triangle, the sine of an angle is the length of the opposite side, divided by the length of the hypotenuse. It was the earliest trigonometric
Take 5.
Trigonometric. Okay. It was the earliest trigonometric table that was extensive enough to allow its use in several practical ends. Among these, astronomy. that at the time presented several problems that without it would be extremely difficult and very time consuming to resolve. Again, although he was not the first to work on this problem, his table is merely the earliest surviving one with trigonometric function. He also left records on solutions of fundamental theorems in spherical trigonometry. These were quite useful for many basic astronomical problems, problems that we now know were apparently solved half a century earlier by a previous intellectual of Alexandria. Menelaus was his name. Ptolemy often tried to perfect the idea that an object and its mirror image must make equal angles to a mirror, as previously declared by Hero of Alexandria. To his dismay, Ptolemy didn't always manage to solve the problems he dwelt in. What to Hero was merely a philosophical question, to Ptolemy it was something that could and should be mathematically studied and improved. He tried to do just that. He tried to do just so by measuring angles of incidence and reflection for planar and curved mirrors. These were set upon a disk that was graduated in degrees. He also measured how lines of sight refracted at the boundary between materials of different density, such as air, water, and glass. Unfortunately, to him, being already advanced in years, he was not able to produce the exact law relating the angles of incidence and refraction. From what we know, this was a problem that was to only be resolved some 14 centuries later. We have Christian
Huygens.
Thank you. We have Christian Huygens and his Treatise on Light to thank for the publishing of that solution. As we understand it, the resolution to this problem remained unpublished by its legitimate discoverer. This until Huygens mentioned him and his method in his works. It was the Dutch astronomer and mathematician Middlebrow Snell. That's an excellent name. If you had made that up, I would be complimenting you right now, but to his mother and forefathers, good job. Middlebrow Snell, that in 1621 found the relationship between the path taken by a beam of light when crossing the boundary or surface of separation between two contacting substances, thus presenting the refractive index of each. To honor his achievement, it is known today as Snell's Law.
Law.
I would have gone with Middlebrow's Law, but you know that's a name right there. Hey, Middlebrow.
Are you using the middle brow?
Right?
What?
Don't
No,
look
the
at me
law,
with your
the
middle
law.
brow, boy. Okay, Middlebrow. So we've got Snell's Law. Although, among science historians, Ptolemy's fame as a geographer is hardly less than his fame as an astronomer. To the rest of us is hardly... Nope. Man, I've got a plus up, dude. I'm not going to let myself mess up one more time because I'm losing. It just means I got to keep scrolling. Ptolemy's fame... Okay. To the rest of us, his developments in the area are less known. It was his guide to geography that provided the means so that his contemporaries could accurately draw maps of the then known world. He achieved this not by direct observations or measures, but by using the maps and writings of Marinus, a first-century inhabitant of Tyre. Ptolemy added selected information as new data arrived from the explorers that by his time were openly reaching as far as Asia and African coasts of the Indian Ocean. Were it not for this, Marinus's cartographical work would never reach us. Among the most important innovations brought by Ptolemy was the fact that in his maps, longitudes and latitudes were now measured in degrees. His world map quite impressively contained more or less than 8,000 locations. Goodness. Thanks to his method of cartography, it became possible to make as many copies of his maps as one wished. All of them would be exactly the same. Because of this apparently not that important detail, we have today a clear and detailed image of the world as it was known to a trader of the Roman Empire at its peak. A world that extended all the way from the Shetland Islands in the north to the sources of the Nile in the south, from the Atlantic Canary Islands, some 100 kilometers west of Morocco, to Southeast Asia and parts of China in the east. Lost in time, the Guide to Geography was later rediscovered and published by Renaissance humanists. Its importance is reflected in the numerous copies of Ptolemy's Guide to Geography that we know to have made it at that time. These were originally copied from earlier sources made and kept by Byzantine scholars. It was the Italian Jacopo d'Angelo, you're not nodding, so okay, that in 1406 popularized the book by translating it into Latin. Most of his books were accompanied by maps attesting to the profound impact this work had upon its rediscovery and subsequent publication. Making our way back into the subject of gravity, it is through astronomy, though, that the name Ptolemy is best known. His fame was the result of a book, one that remained quite influential all the way into our age. He named it as the Mathematical Collection, although it was often called the, you gotta give me that one, Almagest?
Almagest, yes.
Almagest, okay. Although it was often
It's a
called
Moorish word. AL. Everything that starts with AL is a Moorish word. Almost everything.
Almagest.
Almagest.
Almost everything.
Alma-
So almost,
yeah.
almost is a Moorish word. All right, good to know. Now I'm not gonna be able to say
Almagest
it.
is
I
another name
almost
for
said Almagest. There we go.
yeah, it's another name for a Bible, a compilation of books or
Got it.
treaties or.
Treatise. Although it was often called the almost Almagest, a word that is a hybrid combination of both Arabic and Greek, the greatest. In this book, he presented the reader with his belief that the motions of the heavenly bodies could be explained in mathematical terms. Although it presently seems to us as rather primitive and a fundamentally wrong notion of cosmology, in the opening chapters of his book, Ptolemy presents us with empirical arguments for the basic cosmological framework, as it was perceived in his day and age, anyway. In them, he argued the Earth to be a stationary sphere at the center of a vastly larger celestial sphere that revolved around it at a perfectly uniform rate. This outer sphere was home to the known planets, the moon, the sun, and all other stars. It was the rotation of this sphere that caused their daily risings and settings. He explained how through the course of a year, the sun slowly traces out a line, to us known as the ecliptic, overdrawn against the rotation of the celestial sphere. In his model, the moon, to the likeness of the planets, were also identified as wandering stars. This because they do appear to move against the fixed stars found in the Great Circle. The main purpose of this exercise was to present his conviction that the apparently irregular movements of the heavenly bodies are in reality combinations of regular, uniform, circular motions. He reached this conclusion by compiling at least 3 centuries of previous observation. How much of the Almagest can be credited to Ptolemy himself, we cannot say for sure. This because almost all of the preceding technical astronomical literature is now lost to us. However, he credited Hipparchus.
Hipparchus, yes.
Hipparchus. He credited Hipparchus' studies, mid-century BCE, as the ones in which his solar theory, as well as parts of his lunar theory, were based. 14 centuries later, most of Ptolemy's ideas were still among the best that astronomy had to offer, suffering little changes beyond better and more accurate measurements. But it was also the period in time when they began to be challenged and eventually set to rest by the heliocentric model. It started with Tycho Brahe, 1540. Tycho Brahe. Got to trill the R, huh? Tycho Brahe, 1546 to 1601.
Brahe was a guy that in a brawl, since we're talking Tycho
Brahe's brawling.
In a brawl.
Alliteration is contagious, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Like, alliteration's like an allergy. No, because allergies aren't contagious. Damn.
He was a very conflictuous individual with a bad temper. So in a brawl, a guy with a knife cut his nose off. So he had a golden nose on his face.
No shit.
Yeah, he had a gold nose on his face. And this guy died on his desk working because he didn't go to pee for so long that his body was already with certain illnesses, and that killed him. He knew he's going to die, but he had to finish. He had to finish what he was doing. And so he died in that fashion. But he's the one that gave...
Tycho should have gone Tinkle.
Yeah.
Now that works.
He was the one that allowed the... What is his name?
Ptolemy?
No. The guy that actually gave us the... so it's through Tycho Brahe's annotations and measurements that were the most precise of his time that Johannes Kepler, managed to create what we know today as the ellipse instead of the circle. So it stopped being a perfect world,
Yes.
where everything is circles and perfect, and became to be ellipses, and so that is thanks to his work that Kepler managed to get to that conclusion. But he only gave it to him like page by page through more than a decade, so he couldn't get to the conclusion before his death. This is all true. And you know how I know this? I know this by a guy we shunned at the beginning. I know this because it's all in the book called Cosmos from Carl Sagan. This is one of the first books that I read, and it's all there.
That's really good, man. I'm going to give it to you, but not until I'm out of here.
Yeah,
Wow.
only just piece by piece.
Me and my golden nose will remain atop the throne until I forget to tinkle, and then 400 years from now, some young man in a new world will be calling me shoulda tinkled Tico. Brahe. I'll remember it now, I bet that. Should have tinkled Tycho Brahe, 1546 to 1601. Brahe, that in his time was known as a man of renown, being a highly skilled astronomer, astrologer, and alchemist, he was perhaps the first to point out that Ptolemy's solar observations claimed to have been made in 141 AD could not be genuine. Moreover, there are strong arguments for doubting that Ptolemy did indeed independently observe the 1,000 stars listed in his star catalog. Remarks like this, however, could not deny the mastery of mathematical analysis that his calculations exhibited. Let's not forget that his geocentric cosmology prevailed in the Islamic world and in medieval Europe, undisputed for more than 1,000 years. The Ptolemaic system, as we call it today, was a unified system. In it, each heavenly body is attached to its own sphere, and the set of spheres nested so that it extends without gaps from Earth to the celestial sphere. However, the theory behind his explanations is quite confusing. And to make it worse, no number of readings or constructions will help to make it work, not without it failing under its own weight. Ptolemy's scheme is physically impossible to recreate in such a way that matches his calculations. Every time I hear you typing, I want to stop and check the chat. I'm so used to.
I'm just confirming. I'm just so very well. Ro placed a question, and I want to make sure that I'm right.
Cool. I was making sure you're handling chat.
Because I
and
might
weren't
be
talking to me.
wrong.
All right. Did it. There you are. More over there. Independent.
No, it was Johannes Kepler, not Copernicus. Johannes Kepler. Yeah.
Johann
Kepler.
Kepler.
Thank you.
Johann.
Johann.
Well, we got to get one name right. I'm over here botching everything thrown my way. The Ptolemaic system, as we call it today, was a unified system. Oh, I read that, didn't I? Ptolemy's scheme is, yeah. The flaw in his theory is known as the equant problem. As we know, because the orbit of the Earth is closer to the Sun than that of Mars, our planet from time to time outspeeds Mars as both planets orbit our star. From the roofs and terraces of old Alexandria, Mars could sometimes be seen reversing its direction. While looking for a solution to this problem, Ptolemy came up with the concept of epicycles, circles on top of circles, somewhat like a Ferris wheel revolving around a hub. The difference being that in his wheel, the passenger-carrying cars are also free to rotate 360 degrees as the Ferris wheel also revolves. He then set the upper planets in a series of spheres, the most important of which was the deferent sphere, which carried the epicycle. These spheres were not concentric with the center of the Earth. It moved at a constant speed, but that speed was not measured around its own center. The same speed was not to be observed around the center of the Earth, but around a point that he called the center of the equalizer of motion, what was later to be called as the equant. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, equant.
This resulted in a sphere that moved around an axis that passed not through its own center, but rather through the equant. Summarizing.
I just want to intervene here because this is a clear example of what is still happening today. That is, we have defended a narrative for a month, a year, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. And when something is observed by new techniques that shows that that is wrong, because we can't have Mars coming back if all of the circles are going about. So he came and created this extremely complex, that not even his colleagues could really understand, extremely complex solution, just so that it could say, see, it works. If I do what is required 10,000 pages to explain, then it works. Right? So instead of correcting and say, okay, where did we get this wrong? No, they further created complexity to their interpretation of astronomy, and therefore it made it work. No, it's extremely complicated. Extremely complicated.
Yeah, that keep it simple, stupid. I mean,
anything but say I was wrong.
Anything. Anything but give up the position, of being the one that knows, the one that's right.
But the thing here, today we might attribute to the people that do that, it's a matter of career or position.
Right.
For him, it was a certainty that he was correct.
Well, yeah, but
so the fact that he found
status too, right? I mean,
yeah,
like
some of the.
If I'm not giving a guy my shit until I'm dead and I'm dribbling it out to him over 10 years, it's probably because I really enjoy some status, man. The status of being the one that's right?
Well,
I mean,
look.
You can't know this until I say so.
Tycho Brahe was the top of his time, and he still had to make money by being the astrologer of the court. That's why he knew astronomy so well.
So you've got to keep the king from beheading you or cutting off your funds. So you've got to always be right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like today that if you want to keep your grants or your funds, you've got
Yeah.
to continue to be right.
Yes. So
And you'll lie in order to continue to be right, to keep the
sometimes-
money flowing.
sometimes he's lying, other times is a profound belief in what they think is correct. And so anything that is bring up that proves it wrong, it's either not accepted or transformed in such a complex solution that nobody can understand it, and so they are forced to say, oh yeah, if you can solve it like that, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they lied to me in my experience, and that's all I really have to go off of is like my experience. And they like that grant money. That's what I know. That's what I know. Okay, so let's get back to it. Yeah, I popped over. Oh, that's old, isn't it? Yeah, but no, Jacqueline's laughing at me. What did I do? I'm fucking up is probably what I'm doing. That's my way of saying winning. Okay, summarizing, it was a very complicated solution.
Is that what it is?
That's where I pick up, yeah.
Okay.
You know your own work, yeah.
Yeah. It's by logic, that's not memory.
Oh, absolutely. Summarizing, it was a very complicated solution. And being so impractical, I amaze myself for all the long years it remained as the best explanation we could provide for the movements of the heavens. As far as we know, a better theory eluded the Greeks that were unable to find a solution that worked in all situations. Since a workable theory of universal gravitation had yet to be discovered, further developments were to be made during the late Middle Ages. This was when highly learned and skilled Islamic astronomers created a number of theorems that corrected Ptolemy's flaws. The geocentric model was undisputed for a few more years. This despite the fact that the wrong body was being used as the pivot point. It is now time to speak of Galileo Galilei. Born in Pisa in 1564. At the age of 16, he went to the university, where he was meant to study medicine. Sidetracked by mathematics, he eventually left without finishing his degree. The world lost a physician, but gained a self-made scholar whose contributions to the fields of physics, astronomy, cosmology, mathematics, and philosophy earned him the title of Father to Modern Science. He was 18 when he made his first important discovery by describing the rules behind the motion of pendulums. Unsatisfied with the prevailing model of gravity that dated back to Aristotle's time, he worked on one of his own making. He devised several experiments, one of which consisted of rolling objects of different weights down inclined planes, not dropping them off. Love you. Not dropping them off. See, she made it home safe. Not dropping them off of the Tower of Pisa, despite popular stories to this effect. He found that contrary to what Aristotle believed, they fell with the same acceleration rate regardless of their weight. Publicly, he is best known for what he discovered in space. It was the year 1609. Improving upon a recent Dutch invention, Galileo builds his first telescope. That was far more powerful than any other of his time. Thanks to it, he could see farther and clearer than any one of his rivals. Hang on, sorry, there's background noise. Sorry, guys. Cool. He was 18 when he made his first important discovery by describing the rule. Oh, we did that. Dropping off the Tower of Pisa despite the popular stories. Publicly, he is best known for what he discovered in space. It was the year of 1609. Improving upon a recent Dutch invention, Galileo builds his first telescope that was far more powerful than any other in his time. Thanks to it, he could see farther and clearer than any one of his rivals. In January of the following year, he publishes a short treatise outlining his discoveries. Sidereus Nuncius, is that right?
Yeah.
The Starry Messenger, as it is better known, presented the world with 4 new stars, quote unquote, orbiting the already known Jupiter. It also contained observations of the moon's features and descriptions of several new stars in the Milky Way, whose magnitude did not allow them to be previously discovered. Intelligent but also wise, he called the Jovian moons the Medicean stars.
Medicean stars. Do you
So he
get
could
it?
keep his job, yeah.
No, so we get money.
Yeah, the Medici's, right. The family of Florence, right? Is that right? Florentine?
Yeah,
I think?
yeah.
Yep. I went there. The big zebra tower, I think that's Florence, yeah. He called the Medicean stars. Of course he did. Of course he did. He had to keep eating, well, and having somebody empty his bladder for him. Apparently they weren't working the day he died. The Medicean stars. He hoped to gain favor with the powerful Grand Duke of Tuscany that at the time was Cosimo II de' Medici, a family well known for their support of art and science, since we know that Cosimo II appointed him mathematician and philosopher to the Medicis. His intentions were clearly successful. However, his demonstrations of the moon's rugged surface clashed against the idea of heavenly perfection.
We can't
Furthermore,
have holes in the moon.
they can be the same depth, though. Just saying. I'm just fucking saying. Heavenly perfection indeed. Moon's hollow, y'all. And it has a shell. Look it up. The Medicean stars. Nope, there we go. However, his heavenly perfection. Furthermore, the orbits of the Medicean stars that we today call Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto violated the geocentric notion that the heavens revolved around the Earth. It was perfectly clear that they were locked in an orbit around Jupiter. Galileo's observations clearly contradicted the Aristotelian view of the universe. At this time...
Do you understand that this is the first time they identify an object in space that it's not rotating around the Earth?
Did you just ask me if I have reading comprehension? You know I don't. How dare you? You know I struggle. No, sorry. I told you that in private, boss. Do you understand? Last time I told you.
When I say
anything,
"do you understand" is rhetoric, but that's fine. That's fine. Just
I'll
keep
let it-
hitting the blind man with his own cane. That's fine.
Yeah, there are no coincidences. Your own slogan, okay? I'm using it against you. Coincidence takes planning. I told you that since I was... I'm kidding, y'all. All right, keep going. Do I understand what, sir?
What I said.
The Aristotelian view of the universe? Not particularly.
No. This is the first time. We needed to get to Galileo for it to be written down and spread out that there
Right.
were objects in space that did not rotate around the Earth but around another star that they thought Jupiter was a star by then.
Yes,
Everything was stars.
I'm with that. They're trying to maintain the idea of the geocentric model.
So-
Yes.
You have this is to them it was such a shock. It's like saying that we discovered today that after all our galaxy is rotating around the sun in a star instead of other galaxies or something like that. It was completely revolutionary because imagine the thousands of years of the same information being passed. Everything rotates around the Earth, and then there are 4 Medicean stars, not moons, that did not. The rebels, they must be of the devil.
Yeah, was it? That's the thing. Was it revolutionary? I don't know. I mean, I guess it was because it was suppressed, you know?
it's the first time they actually speak about something like that. It's
Well,
like us
right.
talking that we've first seen an alien ship landing.
Right. And that was all by force. Well, and kind of, because wasn't it, if I'm understanding, I'm asking you here. I mean, it's by force. Somebody is enforcing the idea that we can't have things that are contrary to the earth being at the center of everything, right? Like, there are institutions, there are what we call political parties, but I guess kings, you know, and whatnot that have vested interest in power. Something like that, right? I mean,
Right. The thing is this. So the Medici paid all these people, so not enormous amounts of money, but gave them statues, traveling expenses, money for food, and materials for their experiments. So they
Yes.
didn't live a wealthy life because they had patrons, but they ate and had the money to buy whatever material they needed.
right.
In return, the Medici were enlarging their own version of the Vatican library. They
Okay.
were taking all this knowledge. Even they publicly say, "Oh, you're Christians. We don't believe in any of that." But they were keeping all the knowledge
Right.
as much as they could. So the great opposition, as we are going to see, to Galileo was not the wealth patron, but it was the church,
Right.
because that was taking authority from God.
Yeah, but no, it was taking authority from that organization.
Well, that's the bottom of it. But
Yeah. Well, that's where I like to like stay pretty much is I like to get to and linger at the bottom of it.
they were the voice of God. Don't be like that. Oh, they are still, right?
Yeah, no. Sorry. Not on one of my shows they're not.
Oh, just one. The other ones they are.
No, where I have the right to say who I personally feel is of and not of God, no.
Look, when you
Okay?
get
That's
when,
what I mean.
when we get to the chapter that is materialism versus creationism, you will see that science points in every way to a creator.
Well, I believe that I believe that first of all, but I also believe that one doesn't even have to say creator if you get into anything in, deep physics or attempting to ponder quantum level shit, you are bordering already on what we call spiritual. I mean, you're already there. You're already to a place where, we're not even solid, right? We're just an amalgamation of these little tiny, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, but well, I don't want to spoil it.
Take
When
it.
you get there, when you get
take
there,
it. No. Yeah, I think that very much science and this whole division that was started by an organization. That's kind of why I'm trying to get to the bottom, right? Is this whole division of science and God. I don't even like the word religion because when you say religion, you're talking about these institutions, right? That like to build themselves around realities and control the information, and that's just not correct. But yes, I believe that science, if you are starting with the idea of a creator, then studying the creation, no matter what you find, is indeed leading you closer to the creator, right? That makes no sense to me to see it otherwise.
the fact that you can describe the wind on the entire planet through a mathematical equation doesn't take any divinity or spirituality out of it.
No, and each new, I mean, gosh, the person that can't look at just our solar system, bro, like just the physics of it all and watch the way it works, and then like watch some shows on how heavenly bodies move through here, and you start to see basically like a Swiss fucking clock at work. There's no way that you can actually look at that all and then not go, holy shit, each new thing we find is more miraculous, is more amazing, right? So I just don't, my brain doesn't flow any other way. I don't see how people's for so long did, unless you had at the bottom of it some greedy motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Right.
but what I was trying to incline is when we get to that chapter, you realize that it's not about religion or enforced by any religious sect. It's the actual science that demands something before the science itself. It will be clear when we get there, and you'll see. And you'll see that
Okay.
evolution, as it is explained today, is completely false. So it's the way it's explained by science how evolution proceed. It doesn't exist. Cells don't do what they do, what they tell us they do. They don't. You don't pass from a unicellular organism to a two cells and three cells. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. We'll look into DNA, we'll look into a lot of stuff, and you'll see the actual science behind it, and it all demands some form of intelligence acting. That's why it's creationism doesn't mean God of Christians or God of the Muslims. It implies intelligence architect behind it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
If there is a
exactly.
design, it must have a designer.
Jacob tearing up the set. Chill out, man. There's enough going on in this house. All right. You can lay down. All right. No, don't. Sorry, guys. That's why we put Jacob up front. He's always part of the action. Okay. We are at heavenly perfection. That sounds right, doesn't it?
Yep.
No, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto
Callisto.
violated the geocentric notion that the heavens revolved around the earth. It was perfectly clear that they were locked in an orbit around Jupiter. Galileo's observations clearly contradicted the Aristotelian view of the universe. At this time, the geocentric view of the universe was a closed subject, a dogma so deeply rooted and widely accepted by both scientists and theologians that any other concept was strongly discouraged under the threat of public humiliation and even torture and imprisonment by the church. Both these notions caused a friction with the Catholic Church that would last for the rest of his life. Galileo died in January 8th, 1642, after spending his last 9 years in house arrest. 1 year later, almost to the day, a boy was born. Hang on, got to scroll.
Yeah, that's very funny because that guy was born almost to the day a year after.
Really?
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second. Hey guys, I'm recording, just FYI. Hey guys.
There's no respect for the
Yes,
artist.
I'm recording. It's okay. Oh goodness. No, it's okay. It's okay. No worries. Thank you. Okay. These are big words, you know? It takes focus. Okay. All right. We were 1 year later, almost to the day, a boy was born that would once again provide a new, more assertive description of gravity. Isaac Newton was his name. Born prematurely on Christmas Day, 1642, in Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire, England.
Yeah, if he had born in Israel, it would be Jesus.
Well, precisely. No, Jesus, I think the actual day when you go looking at it for those, it's
Yeah.
funny enough. Funny enough, 911 comes up a lot. Yeah, 9/11. Isn't that odd?
It's a coincidence.
It's a total coincidence that they'd plan a murder, mass murder on that same day. Total coincidence. However, nope. Nope. 1 year later, Isaac Newton, his name, born prematurely on Christmas Day, 1642, in Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire, England. After many setbacks that included a failed attempt to turn him into a farmer, He eventually managed his way into the University of Cambridge's Trinity College in 1661. There, he became fascinated by the works of modern philosophers, such as René Descartes, to the point of writing about his questions in a set of notes he called Questions Quadam Philosophicia?
Philosophica.
Say it. Philosophica, thank you. Questions Quadam Philosophica, meaning certain philosophical questions. Well, why didn't they just say that? Damn, that's a lot easier. It was the year of...
like the guy on church. Speak English, motherfucker.
English, what is this? I don't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. It was the year 1665. Cambridge, like anywhere else, was brought to a halt. The Great Plague had spread all over Europe. Forced to return home, he took the time to proceed with his theories on calculus, light, and color. It was there, in the fields of the very farm, where one day his family tried to make a farmer out of him, that the supposed falling apple that inspired his work on gravity fell to the ground. We will now jump into 1684. Many years and successes later that had made him famous all over Europe for his studies in mathematics, physics, and also by his amateurish interest in alchemy. In this year, he received a visit, none other than the also famous English astronomer, Sir Edmund Halley. Halley? Long A?
Halley.
Long
Yeah,
A.
the man that named the
Halley.
comet.
Halley's, yeah. It was the same comet that Mark Twain was born on the day that it came around and died on the day it came back around. Upon being told that Newton had mathematically worked out the elliptical paths of celestial bodies, Halley urged him to publish his work so that astronomers all over the world could benefit from this push-through. Newton, however, was not the type of man that could be rushed. He took his time, checking and rechecking his work. Finally, in 1687 was the year of the publication of Philosophia Naturalis Principia Mathematica, that translates to Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy. I like the first one better that time. With this book, he established not only the 3 laws of motion, but also the all-encompassing law of universal gravity. Newton's 3 laws of motions ruled our way of seeing, gotta scroll, the universe ever since. Them being, every object in a state of uniform motion will remain so unless an external force acts upon it. That force equals mass times acceleration, F equals ma. And finally, perhaps the most popular, the one saying that every action causes an equal and opposite reaction. He also experimented with refraction. That's also true with teenage girls. Did you know that? He also experimented with refraction. In his notes, he wrote his belief that white light was a composite of all the colors on the spectrum. He believed that light was composed of particles instead of waves, a subject so complicated it has baffled scientists ever since. Even today, we cannot determine what light is made of. Really?
Yep.
All we can say for sure is that sometimes it behaves like a particle, as Newton stated, and sometimes, oh, you're talking about, yeah, obviously. Duh, Jason. In later years, he returned to his earlier studies on the forces governing gravity and dabbled in alchemy. It was then that Sir Isaac Newton, quite amazingly, since he had no means of confirmation, theorized that force behind the falling motion of the apple observed on Earth was the same force behind the motion that the moon and other objects experience. According to his idea, It was this mysterious power that held them in place within relation to each other. In order to reach this conclusion, he used the work previously done by Galileo and combined it with the 1543 Copernican heliocentric model, as described in what we call the Copernican principle. This principle was particularly impactful upon our view of the cosmos. It implies that humans living on a planet no longer in the center of the solar system ceased to be the privileged observers of the universe. The notion of the Earth as the center of the universe, as previously defined by the Ptolemaic system, was no more. Humans were no longer the primogenitors of God, a position demoted to just another being equal to any other, nothing more than a biological machine, which happens to be a passenger on the third planet from the sun. Newton's development of the law of universal gravitation, more often called the law of gravity, brought Galileo's and Copernicus's concepts together in the form of a mathematical formula. With this formula, he could determine the force of attraction between any two objects with mass. Together with another of his theories, the Newton's law of motion, thus created a formal system of gravity and motion that would guide scientific understanding in such a way that it remained unchallenged for over 2 centuries. Then came Jewish physicist Albert Einstein, and out of his mind came another game-changing concept, the theory of relativity. Although developed in the early part of the 20th century, it is still regarded as one of the most significant scientific advances of our time. Einstein was by no means the first to speak of relativity. However, his contribution was fundamental to our understanding of this phenomena. He theorized that the speed of light in a vacuum is constant and somehow an absolute physical boundary for motion. His theory points out that objects traveling near light speed will move slower and look shorter in length from the point of view of a stationary observer. Publicly, he is better known for the famous equation E equals mc squared, which reveals the equivalence of mass and energy. Einstein then applied his theory of gravitational fields. It was so successful in this area that it forever changed the way we perceive time and space. He called it the curved space continuum, which depicts the dimensions of space and time as a two-dimensional surface. Once upon it, massive objects create valleys and dips in the surface. Imagine a bowling ball resting on a trampoline, deforming its surface with its weight. For his work on relativity, the photoelectric effect, and black body radiation, Einstein received the Nobel Prize in 1921. This evolutionary process of thought, although brilliant, is responsible for several dogmas now prevailing in modern science. So it's the theory of relativity. That's that if you sit on a hot stove for 1 minute, it feels like 10 minutes. And if you sit on the sofa with your girlfriend for 10 minutes, it feels like 1 minute. Theory of relativity.
Everything is relative.
You're welcome. It really is, isn't it? Almost.
Even his theory.
Did you say, hey, Siri? Oh, man.
No, even his theory.
Oh, his theory. I was about to say, what are you doing talking to Siri? She listens anyway. You don't have to talk to her. The general theory of relativity demonstrates that time is linked or related to matter and space, and thus the dimensions of time, space, and matter constitute what we would call a continuum. They must come into being at precisely the same instant. Under this concept, time itself cannot exist in the absence of matter and space. From this, we can infer that the uncaused first cause must exist outside of the four dimensions of space and time. Not only that, but that as it possesses eternal, personal, and intelligent qualities in order to own the capabilities of intentionality, bring space, matter, and indeed even time itself into existence. I didn't read that sentence right. Either that or there's too many commas. I don't know. Not only that, but that it possesses eternal, personal, and intelligent qualities in order to own the capabilities of intentionally bringing space, matter, and indeed even time itself into existence. Plainly, Terence McKenna described it best while trying to expose this conflictual conundrum. Look at you with the alliteration. It's my favorite device. McKenna describes it best while trying to expose this conflictual conundrum. He said, "Give us a free miracle and we will explain the rest." Science in many areas built upon talking about the Big Bang, right? Science in many areas built upon the imaginary conception of the unknown and at the same time presented to us as the enlightened, educated explanation. Man, that's good. Oh, you're about to do it again, too. Look at this. Dude, you like our part, me. Presented to, watch this, y'all. Watch this alliteration. Presented to us as the enlightened, educated explanation of the unexplained, unproven, and untested as if it was but the truth. That's fucking awesome. All right. I'm going to do it one more time. Presented to us as the enlightened, educated explanation of the unexplained, unproven, and untested as if it was but truth. Scientists worked so hard to present us with their mechanistic view of reality just to be forced to acknowledge the need for a creative entity that they then pretentiously ignore while rejecting any recognition of such. As it is currently theorized, the very physical nature of time and space requires a creator. It cannot be denied that, under their perspective, both infinity and eternity must necessarily exist from a logical perspective. This because the very existence of time, as it is explained, forcefully implies eternity. And yet, time must have a beginning and an end and the existence of space in similar fashion, and for the same reason implies infinity. Finally, the very concepts of infinity and eternity infer a creator because they find their very state of being in some yet to be unidentified force who transcends both and simply is. Okay, so you're basically telling us here that if, because of the nature of time itself, there must exist something outside of it. Yeah.
It basically is like saying that, okay, we have a planet. A planet is in the solar system. The solar system is in a galaxy. The galaxy is in a group of galaxies. The group of galaxies is rotating around a larger group of galaxies. And then we have the quasars. And then we have the universe. And then, we're supposed to stop there. You can't stop there because the universe must be inside something.
Right.
Right? So...
Right.
In order for you to put the food you want to preserve in a container, you have to create a container or buy it. Somebody has to make it, right? Because you don't have where to put it. So where is the universe?
Right. Well, when you go back to the Big Bang, right? I mean, if nothing else, you can say that's the beginning of time. Okay, well, there was something before that. It came from something which is outside of what we define as time and space.
Through the book, we're finding that they did this just with the Big Bang. They did this with every single fundamental law of science, all of them. That's why Rupert Sheldrake has his presentation was banned on TED because he was showing 12 principles of science covering all areas for it, that they are building castles of sand. None of the things that they are built upon are actually confirmed or explained.
Was Sheldrake, was he the universal or God consciousness in the rats? Was that Sheldrake?
Yes,
Who am I
yes,
thinking?
that's Rupert Sheldrake. Yes.
Yeah, so he taught a group of rats in New York how to perform some function that they didn't know before, basically put something before them they had to learn how to do that they didn't. And then the test group, he would, in I guess, London, whatever, it was across the sea, he would then take that group and phase them to the same test that he had done already to the group in New York, and then the group in London would like know how to do it.
Yeah, they would do it. Each time it was repeated, it was solved faster and faster and faster
Right.
and faster.
Right. So there was collective
Morphic
knowledge.
resonance of information. Yes.
I think anybody that's gone through the full phase of, like having children, and especially, being able to watch them grow a while now, but then, if you paid attention to the generation before you or anybody that can just look at these things, it's pretty obvious to me that there are upgrades taking place, I think, at least to my mind anyway, things that one generation had to spend an entire generation like fighting for or striving to achieve, that's something that when you go ask a 4 or 5 year old, from the next generation, they just know. And that's not because they grew up with it, right? At least that's what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt believing in that, just from that aspect, let alone the spiritual nature of everything. But from that aspect alone, it's pretty evident to me that it would be taking place with rats or mice, whichever they were.
With us.
Yeah, it does, exactly. Sheldrake. Where did you stop us? Give us a free miracle and we will explain the rest.
No,
7 and 8.
way ahead of that.
Yeah, way after that. Physical da-da-da. Oh, there is still far more to be discovered, understood, and explored. I'm looking for your alliteration, but I can't find it. Did I skip a page? As we learn by reading history of science, again and again, scientists have been proven to be wrong. Is that right?
Yeah.
No. However, and although there is still far more to be discovered, understood, and explored than what has already been found, more than once in the last few hundred years, several members of the scientific elite have stated that there is little more to be discovered. The only improvements that they could foresee were of more precise measurements. This meaning that the current views on each problem, meaning the theory that explains it, represents the undisputed truth, therefore requiring no more research, that only a finer tuning can be achieved. As we learn by reading history of science again and again, scientists have been proven to be wrong. One could assume, and not without wisdom, that there is a lesson to be learned in these mishaps of science. That these omniscient theories, or more likely, the absolutistic attitude, you work to get the alliteration in here, I like it. The absolutistic attitude towards them means that there is no need for further investment, either in time, personnel, or resources, is undoubtedly the wrong way to do science. Perhaps for this reason, most of the theories that have been proven wrong were the product of independent minds that, at their own risk, pursued a better way to explain the subject in question. Although it has been shown again and again, the breaking of a theory does not mean it will be relegated to such interpretation. Many of these already refuted theories still remain in school books and official scientific mediums. This resistance to change obviously causes innumerous delays in several, if not all, branches of science. As a result of these practices, what has began just as theory has become dogma. Relativity, evolutionary theory, and geomorphology were and continue to be widely successful families of theories within physics, biology, and geology. They explain their processes in ways that are today completely outdated. There are other powerful theory clusters that inhabit comparatively recent disciplines, such as cognitive science, climate science, and molecular biology. Effective scientific theories magnify our understanding by helping to supply legitimate explanations and should assist in formulating predictions within their field of expertise. For me, science's greatest sin lies in its illusion of grandeur. The certainty that humans are now at their pinnacle of both technological capabilities and their understanding of the cosmos and all its engines. That I completely agree with. It's this illusion of grandeur that's got all of us fucked up.
Well, I knew you
the
would
whole
agree
world.
with something.
I just meant enough to stop reading and like drive home, y'all. That's important. And I don't just mean it like because you're talking about scientists here, and I'm sure we've got some watching, and I don't even mean it like directly at anybody. I mean as a whole. Every evil, everything that is perpetrated upon the human race, just about, can boil down to believing the lie that this is the best we've ever done. That's what I mean. So, great. The certainty that humans are now at the pinnacle of both technological capabilities and their understanding of the cosmos and all of its engines. This belief becomes even more suspicious when we realize that some of these dogmas are based in century-old assumptions. So, as I will attempt to demonstrate in the following chapters, scientists do not know all of the answers as they so proudly claim, stating that in principle, the fundamental questions are solved with just some minor details to be fine-tuned. As you will see in the next pages, the same ones that believe in what was previously described also believe that reality is but what we can experience from the realm limited to what is palpable, material, or physical. That all of it is mechanistically unconscious, purposeless, and deprived of free will. That everything is random and aimless. That evolution itself is directionless. They're so stupid.
Those are actually facts. It's
Yeah. Bunch of. I will call you a moron if that's the way you walk around. It's because you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself, right? That's the only reason I'm going to call you a moron if you walk around thinking like that, because you are causing yourself a terrible time here in this experience. That's what I know.
That's the materialistic science, the
I
mechanical
know.
science.
I know. I'm just advising y'all. You're being your own problem in that regard. Spirituality, obviously an absolute taboo for those that seek a scientific career. I know. That's why you get me now, because the scientists have to deal with all my scientific evidence and the fact that I said somebody that doesn't have a body showed it to me. There are no coincidences, bro.
Not one that you can see.
Right? Might be a light body or some shit, but it ain't here. There ain't no flesh and bones involved. I promise you. Flesh and bones, I don't trust you. Spiritually,
Try this
obviously.
cookie. You'll see it better.
Spirituality, obviously an absolute taboo for those that seek a scientific career, since it exists only as mental concept. It is therefore unprovable. Not now. These scientific guidelines are by no means critically discussed within scientific circles. To them, these notions as nothing less than absolute facts. In my own view, all and every absolutistic points of view are just as limited and closed to novelty as any narrow belief system. Therefore, science, that for long tried to free itself from the grasps of religion, perhaps in its dire attempt to protect itself, became a full-fledged religion in its own right. Chapter 2, Concerning Consciousness. Oh, that one's going to be fun.
This is probably the most boring because it deals with a lot of.
That's going to be the fun one. Really, that's my favorite topic, consciousness.
Well, to me, it's more like the materialism versus creationism.
Yeah, people
the
that
free
believe
will,
that
free will
consciousness
versus.
generated from material. Yeah. Those poor buggers.
There's several. It's a mental exercise where each one of us will have our own opinions.
Oh, what's
Well-
going on, Octopus? With no friends? You do have friends. You're among them. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it has to change the name.
That took us right to 2 hours. Man, we've got to give me like an extra day now between, because I need to read these chapters ahead. I'm sure I will do much better service to your work. But that being said, I still have enjoyed it very much. I hope you've enjoyed the reading okay.
Yeah, thank you. It was excellent.
Okay. Good. Chat, you want to say anything before we get out of here? Because I feel, I know it's important when chat comes here to interact that I've learned doing my show that we interact, immediately. So I do feel bad when I'm sitting here trying to plow through a text and I don't check in with everybody. So thank you guys very much for coming, and for those that are still stuck around with us. We greatly appreciate it. Ricardo, what you want to say to them?
We still have the same problem when I go to the bottom of the chat. It keeps jumping
I
up
know.
and down.
I mentioned that in the beginning.
There's
Well,
a
I
new
think
message.
you-
Let's see if I can read it.
Outside of the history lesson, I think you did hit upon several key points, in summary, we should say.
Thank you, Sarah.
I definitely liked, I can't see, hang on, let me close the book. I can't see what she said. Oh, right. The notion that we are the penultimate. Now, everybody here that knows me knows that's because I've experienced concrete evidence for an antediluvian civilization, right? That to the evidence that I found into my eye wasn't done by us, right? Okay, now when one embraces that notion, one finds oneself better equipped to deal with your awakening, with your getting outside of the matrix of things, is one word to say it, because you are no longer susceptible to the lie that we know all there is to know, that we are at the high point of what humans can achieve. Because when you believe that lie, you then allow yourself to be force injected because the doctor said so, and this is the best we've ever done. Human bodies can't work unless you put 72 separate shots in your baby, right? Well, now, if you understood that we are in fact at one of the lower iterations of human achievement, then you would not believe everyone who was in charge that told you it was otherwise. It just does a lot for your mental clarity and for your conscious elevation. And we live in a time where consciousness elevation is going to be a survival mechanism for all of us. And embracing, escaping the lie of, this is the best, we know it all, da, 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 right? Stepping outside of that allows your consciousness a much airier, open, environment in which to traverse the lies and the pitfalls of our modern age. So that, to me, was a very important point I'm glad we got to touch upon.
Thank you. And tomorrow,
Thank you,
I
Sarah.
hope you have Brown Table Chronicles. I don't think.
Tomorrow's Saturday. We do.
Yeah. I don't think
Okay.
that. I don't know, but I don't think that Rick will be able to be with us. He's
Okay.
still on the road, but we'll have Vince. And
Why don't we-
I'm talking with.
Hey, why don't we bring Vince in on a little DeSoto reading? Why don't we do a little DeSoto reading for an hour or so tomorrow, too, and let
We
Vince
can.
comment with us?
I will try to see if I can get Jim McKelvey, who is the
Unless
foremost.
you get a guest. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's the foremost expert on Pilot Mountain. He's writing a book. Well, another book. But I don't know. I haven't invited him. We are talking by email, but I have to see if he, and under short notice, want to come and tell us about a little bit about Pilot Mountain. But no promises.
That'd
I'm
be
not
great.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Okay, so join us tomorrow night. We'll have Vince along,
Something.
and we will either learn about Pilot Mountain or we'll pick Vince's brain and continue reading where we left off in the De Soto Chronicles.
Chronicles. Yeah.
Learning all about the Christians. And
Yeah, and we can do a
native
reading in the afternoon
cultures.
tomorrow, before the show, if you want to. So
Whatever you
I
want,
mean
man.
DeSoto.
Whatever
I
you
mean
want.
DeSoto.
Yeah. If you get
This-
a guess, we can do that.
This will continue Sunday or Monday according to your availability.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I got a heat wave coming up, man. So we're gonna be
Oh.
really hot next week, over the hundreds. So I will only be going to water to explore next week. So I'll be perfectly available. We can do Sunday reading. So let's say everybody see us tomorrow, maybe for a reading and the roundtable, if Ricardo gets a guest. Otherwise, we might just combine the two tomorrow. We'll return probably Sunday evening to continue here with Ricardo's book. And sometime in there, I need to throw into my episodes. So I guess it might wait till Monday of finding things within and without.
I'm gonna be
There's our podcasting program for the weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 5 days with 106,
5 days with what?
106 degrees in
Oh,
Fahrenheit.
you're getting the heat, so we're all getting it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
it's
not
gonna
a
be
heat
105.
wave. It's what
It
it's
is here.
supposed to be.
Not here.
That's the temperature we are supposed to. It's supposed to be
You don't have
110,
humidity, though,
112, right?
You-
Yeah, in the night. In the night we have humidity, but in the day it's very dry.
Yeah, here with,
On the
whatever it
20s,
is,
22%.
90% humidity and 105 degrees.
Yeah, that's
just-
tropical.
yeah, I don't do tropical, like every day by choice. It's
Give
just-
me a frozen river.
Right? Colorado, here I come. Yeah, we're definitely going to have a place in Colorado as well as, We'll have the Appalachians and the Rockies. That way, wherever the water goes, we'll just have to have a helicopter
Yeah.
that jumps between the two.
for
locations.
everybody on the
Right?
basket.
No, we'll pick the right mountain. I know we will. Love you guys.
Bye bye. Thank you. A very fond farewell to you all. Thank you very much.
See you soon.